Welcome to the Software People Stories. I'm Shiv.
I'm Chitra,
And I'm Gayatri.
We bring you interesting, untold stories of people.
associated with the creation
Or consumption of software-based solutions.
You'll hear stories of what worked.
and sometimes what didn't,
You will also hear very personal experiences.
and insights that would trigger your thoughts.
And inspire you to do even greater things.
Today, I'm in conversation with Sam Fonoimoana, who is the founder and CEO of Datajoin, a B2B marketing analytics company. Sam shares his thoughts and experience related to growing up in Hawaii, California, and then studying at BYU, and initially choosing business as a career and joining his father-in-law's export business. Then doing an MBA to study finance and wanting to continue his business pursuit. Starting with a role as an analyst to plan budgets and review progress with various departments in a publishing company. Learning to code to get the various reports to analyze the data was his first step with IT. He also talks about how he gets and associates context with the data to infer meaning that could lead to some actions. His philosophy of following the money, getting customers and retaining customers was something that he talks about as a guiding way of how his business is run. He also talks about his trigger to start his company, Datajoin, to connect data from the web and data that resides within an enterprise using context. Having run a business in the export-import area and then getting into technology, he talks about his experience of working with techies and how his experience of being a football player and being part of a sports team influenced the core values at Datajoin, particularly two of them that he talks about, aloha and it takes a village to raise a child. He also shares the confidence he got from his mother about being able to get anything he wanted to achieve and his joy and frustrations with information technology and how he sees AI and ML techniques impacting data analytics. And finally, his career advice for people considering a career or aspiring to shift to data techniques. Listen on. Hi, Sam. Welcome to the Software People Stories.
Good morning, or hi, Shiv. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you as a guest, particularly considering that you say that you are among the first from your region, the region of the world, to get into becoming an entrepreneur, etc. Yeah, I don't get an opportunity too often to meet people from that area. So, like we normally do, if we can start with a self-introduction, and you can say what is your origin story, how you got interested in or got engaged with information technology, then we'll take it from there.
Sure. So my name is Sam Fonoimoana, and I guess we'll go way back. We'll go way back to my college days. I was studying at Brigham Young University here in Provo. I had grown up in Hawaii and in California, and really, that was the only world that I knew. When I came up here to BYU, I was studying, and then I got engaged. I think it was my junior year. I was still finishing up with my generals, and I actually didn't know what I wanted to do. But I figured, hey, I'm gonna have a family now. I better make a choice pretty quickly, and I chose business just because I think earlier when I was younger, I would have liked to have been a football player. Maybe played professionally, but that definitely wasn't the path I was going down. So businessman sounded good to me because businessman, young, 21-year-old Sam just knew that businessmen made a lot of money. So I studied entrepreneurship from my undergrad at BYU, and then I left undergrad and I spent 2 years doing an export business with my father-in-law, sending cereal and leg quarters to Tahiti. And that was really my first experience out in the world doing anything. And it taught me to ask a lot of questions. It taught me I didn't, most things I did not know. And I had to figure out how to do things on my own. Didn't really have any mentors, other than my father-in-law. And I think I come away with those 2 years just really learning how to ask a lot of questions. which was good. I went back to MBA school, and I studied finance, which was a great program. It also taught me a lot of things such as time value of money. I'll probably never forget that those formulas and those equations, they were so intriguing to me, when I was going to school back then. Um,
Mhm.
But really, I mean, the one thing that I liked about finance is that, it taught me to follow the money, right? There's so many things that we can look at and analyze as an analyst, but it really taught me that principle is try your best to follow the money, and that's where you're going to find success. So after I graduated from MBA school, I started as an analyst for a publishing company, and I was working in FP&A. So basically planning out the budgets for all of the different departments. And I remember, so my job was plan the budgets at the beginning of the year, and then after each month, I go back to each department and say, hey, this is what you guys were forecasting, and this is what actually happened. Like why the difference? Can you explain me the difference so we can do a better forecasting? And that's really what sent me down this path of data that I'm in today. Was that whenever I'd ask the marketing team questions, I just felt like I needed more answers. I needed more answers, and to get better answers, I needed more data. I needed more context. I needed more data. And I know that the BI team, they were getting really tired of me asking for reports. I asked for one report, I get it back. I'm like, oh, I need 6 more reports because I have more questions. And so I taught them how to. I asked them if they could teach me. I said, hey, tell you what, I won't bug you guys anymore. I'll buy you breakfast. You teach me how to do it. Just teach me how to code, how to write some SQL, and then that way I don't need to bug you anymore. And
Wow.
And that's really how I got into coding and getting into data and databases, was right there. FP&A guy trying to dabble in data, trying to get dangerous with data, right? So, I guess I'll pause there, Shiv. I don't know if you have any questions, but I'll just take a little pause there.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned the context along with the analytics. When people talk about data and you talk about analysis paralysis and so on, so how do you add context to make sure that you do the right kind of analysis as what is relevant for you?
Yeah, I just think it goes back to asking a lot of questions. These were the early days of Google, so Google what I can. But when the marketing manager said, "Oh, well, we had, we plan on spending this much on search, this much on display," I had to understand, like, okay, well, what is what's the difference? Like, why do you spend some on search? Why do you spend some on display? So I asked them a lot of questions, but then I also go and do my own research, watch any videos I can, read any articles, so that I better understand, okay, this is what they were trying to do. They were trying to help the awareness of the company with the display ads. And then with the search, they're really targeting people who are, have high intent to convert. And so that's good. That helps me to better understand and analyze what the effectiveness of the spend, should have been for each of them. But I think it's really important just to not look at data, but you have to put it in context. Yes.
Yeah, that's nice. But today, there are so many sources of data, or data keeps changing, particularly in an organizational context, if you're doing operations. And people have a lot of difficulty in identifying what are the KPIs to track, or what will really tell us whether we are going in the right direction, or whether we need to make any changes in our strategy. How can one interpret or read data to help for the future? Otherwise, it's more like looking at the rear view mirror, because most of the data is about what happened.
Yeah, it's true. I think a lot of people are just happy to get the data and they said, oh, this is what happened. But to your point, we really need data to move past that. We need data to help us improve the business. And for me, I think 2 thoughts come to mind. One for me is just going back to follow the money. I mean, every goal of every business is, from an economic standpoint, is to get customers and to retain them. It's really those 2 things above all. So everywhere I've gone, I always start at that high level. Okay, so what is it exactly that's driving new customers? and what is it exactly that's retaining new customers. And then I go one level deeper, right? Until I have something that's in my control that I could help. It could be, increasing conversion rates on the website. That's going to help, increase my pipeline, which is in turn going to increase my sales. And so that's the first thought is, follow the money. I think if you do that, then you can really know what data you should focus in on, what's going to be data worth analyzing. Because, let's face it, there's mountains of data. A lot of it is not really that useful for helping the business to be able to acquire customers and retain customers. So that's my approach. Second approach is for forecasting. That was my job as an FP&A analyst. FP&A stands for financial planning and analysis, and it's the arm of finance that's in charge of forecasting out the future revenues and expenses. And so for us, it was all about looking at the historical data. We would look at the historical data, but we know that the future is not always the same circumstances as the past. And so we need we spend a lot of time with each of the teams that are either spending money, especially marketing, and we spend time with them, say, hey, this is what you guys have done in the past. What is it that you guys are planning on doing in the future? Our targets are this, our top-down targets are this. Like, what are the initiatives that you're going to do to reach that? Because this is a much higher growth clip than what you've been doing historically. And so once I get that context from them, they say, oh, we're going to drop this new campaign. We're starting this new initiative with the TV series this year. Then, I can go ahead and put those and fold those into the forecast. That's for a much more accurate, forecast. We can give them data if they have idea for like a TV series. We can give them data to show, hey, these are the areas of the website. This is the content that's resonating with our customers. You may want to have, you use this data to make sure that you build a TV series that's going to be, resonating with our customer base. So that's another thing is, I think work with the teams to get that context and then use the past data to help them with future campaigns. So.
Yeah, good. So this seems to require a lot of expertise, to interpret, forecast, and take decisions. So what was your trigger for Datajoin?
Okay, so Datajoin, yes. So, when I started working in FP&A, I moved to analytics. I was working at Ancestry.com, and then I moved to a company called Domo, and I ran their marketing analytics team over there. So the idea with Datajoin, really starts here in these early days with Ancestry and Domo, in that you have disparate data sets. You have so many different sources of data. You got marketing who's using ad platforms, Google Ads, Facebook. You've got the web analytics team analyzing the website, doing A/B testing in Google Analytics and Adobe Analytics. You have the marketing automation team using Marketo, sales team using Salesforce, CRM. So you have all these different systems involved in the customer journey. And, I was trying to connect all of them, especially the end of the funnel, Salesforce for B2Bs. That's where all the deal information is at. And I was trying to connect that deal information back to, Google Ads and Facebook ads, so I can see inside of Google, hey, I spent this much and it drove not just this many visits to the site or clicks, but it also drove 100 opportunities. It drove 20 deals last quarter, that's worth 10 million in revenue. And it's really about closing the loop with marketing so that they can see, what their marketing efforts are driving beyond clicks. That really started, that was work that I did. Like I said, Ancestry, even another startup before that, one-on-one marketing. And this idea of combining disparate data sets, today, that's all we do at Datajoin. We don't even do any dashboards anymore. All we do is connect the data from system to system so that marketers can prove out their value, one, but even more importantly, so they can activate the data. The customer journey is so spread out amongst all the systems. It's fragmented. And every team really needs to know all the data points in the system that they use if they want to do the best personalization, if they want to do the best type of activation. If Google Analytics only knows web data, then it's very limited, compared to if it had sales data in there as well, for example. And that's what Datajoin does today.
You said that early on, while you were a student as well, you had the opportunity to run a business. What is the
Yes.
difference between running the export kind of business and starting up a technology company?
Well, to me, there's a big difference, because this business I started really, it came from years and years of my career in identifying and solving this problem. So the export business, I knew nothing about chicken leg quarters and dimension and container dimensions. I don't know anything about that, but I know all about databases and I know all about connecting disparate systems over 15 years in working and seeing that, hey, this company has that problem, this other company has the problem. You know what? Like pretty much every B2B marketing has this problem. So I came in with a lot more confidence, knowing this space inside and out. I know some entrepreneurs, they're really good at just coming up with new ideas left and right and awesome ideas and being able to go and fundraise. But there are other entrepreneurs like myself. It really comes from just going through work experience and identifying gaps just through doing the work. And that's the path that I took. So I was a lot more confident going into Datajoin because I knew I had a problem that's worth solving.
Yeah, that's definitely addressing one part of what it needs to be an entrepreneur. But then working with, let's say, the people who are associated with the export import kind of business versus working with techies.
For me, it was very different. I mean, working with export, I remember, driving to the dock in LA. I grew up partly in LA, and I was trying to figure out how to get the best price 50-gallon drums, right? For one of the projects we were working on. And I just remember driving into this, looked like a junkyard to me. And I drove up there at the dock and I found this old man. And I said, hey, I didn't know what I was talking about. I said, hey, can you give me the best price for your drums? It wasn't low enough for what I was looking for. And I remember asking him for his middleman. I mean, I was just a 20-year-old kid out of college. I didn't know any better. I said, well, can you give me your supplier? And I just remember he got so angry at me. He was yelling at me, I'm not going to give you my supplier. What are you talking about? And I didn't know. I'm like, I don't even know why he's mad, because I'm so new to all this business. I'm just trying to get a good deal. But it's definitely, to me, that's kind of an old school style of business where they kind of keep their network secured. Today, and with techies, I feel like it's different. I feel like everyone is generally open. There's so much documentation everywhere. There's open source, there's open APIs, there's a willingness to want to collaborate, and I really enjoy that because it allows me to be able to learn faster compared to that export business. The people I dealt with, they seem really old school. It seemed a little bit harder to deal with those people, and it had to do with the fact that I was young. I didn't really know much other than surfing. That's that's about it. So but that's, yeah, I hope that helps, but that's some of the difference that I see.
Yeah.
So
Related thing is we usually say that developing or deploying IT solutions is teamwork. So has any of your football experience helped with creating the team or promoting a team spirit?
you know what, I think in general, my people, the people of the islands, the Polynesians, we have a saying that it takes a village, to raise a child. So I think naturally that's how our people are. Like we don't really want to take the credit. Just generally speaking, we don't want to put ourselves above the others, and we want to help everyone in the village, right? If you go back to any of the islands, your kids are safe going around the village because that's where they're protected. Same for team sports. I think that's part of the reason why we do well in sports such as American football, because of this culture that we have, and also because we're much bigger and stronger than everyone else in general as well. But yeah, I mean, with our team, with Datajoin right now, I love it because our team has gotten bigger, and I feel like that's the cultures that we're trying to instill. We just released our core values. The first core value for our company, Datajoin, is aloha. Most of us are at Datajoin are from the islands. There's more Pacific Islander origin than not at the moment in terms of our employees. So that's not just our company culture, but that's our ethnic culture. That's that we take care of each other. We're not just going to throw each other away in the trash after we can't after we butt heads a couple of times. We work through it and we take care of each other. And then our last core value, number 5, is it takes a village, where everyone takes care of each other. So at our company, we have that collaboration. I feel we're getting better all the time. But yeah, I think if you were to come to one of our company meetings, I think you would see there's a care for everyone. Everyone cares about each other in there, and we're focused on achieving our goals together. So
Wonderful. The other side of the same thing, starting in Polynesia, which is not one of those tech hotspots, were there any barriers that you had to cross to get to this point?
I feel like the way that I was raised, my mother raised me. My mother's a Hawaiian lady. My father's Samoan. She raised me to believe that everything was equal for me. Like I could go get anything just as much as the white kids next door here in the States. She raised me that way. And I really felt that way all throughout my college, all throughout my career. Being an entrepreneur, this really put that belief, to the test. That this was hard for me to see. It's one thing to work for a company and be backed by a very well-known brand name and a lot of resources. As the director of marketing analytics, people listen to me very easily. When I was off on my own, I feel like I do feel like it was tough for me. It took me a long time to be able to raise money. And I know there's probably a variety of different reasons. We're coming in the data space, and I realize that's crowded, but we do things very different than all the other data companies out there. So, and plus we had customers. So I felt that we shouldn't have any problem, raising money, but yet I did run into, mostly no's. I mean, I basically got turned down, and it would be discouraging when I would see other people posting, maybe on LinkedIn, that they were pre-revenue, pre-customers, young out of college, and they have a $50 million valuation. And they landed, $5 million seed round, and it'd be frustrating to me, to see that. So, like I said, there could be a variety of reasons. I personally feel like, our people, it's not very common to see us here in these pitches. People are used to us being professional athletes and entertainers. But I'm hoping that with this, and there's others, there's definitely others who are also trailblazing here, but I hope that it helps to change that perception here in the US, that Pacific Islanders can also be tech founders and CEOs.
Yeah, good. So in this, having come from an F&A background, and when you're using technology, have you had any moments of joy or what you like about technology, and moments of frustration about limitations or the vagaries of technology?
Oh, for sure. For sure. My joy comes from, at Datajoin, we call ourselves a marketer's best friend, right? That's our hashtag. We'll hashtag that on LinkedIn everywhere, marketer's best friend. And really that's where my joy comes from throughout my career. And even with Datajoin, is being able to give these marketers something that they've been dreaming of. They've been dreaming of being able to personalize the way that they want to, but they don't have the right data to be able to do that. They've been dreaming of being able to show their impact to the bottom line, but they haven't had the data to do that. So every time that we help our customers achieve their goal, these marketing team members, that's where a lot of the joy comes from. Let me just give you an example. So I was meeting with one of my customers on Friday, from a big Fortune 500 company. And, we were talking about, what they're doing is they're taking segments out of their web analytics, and they're putting that into Google Ads for much better remarketing in Google Ads. And it's something that that hardly no one is doing in the industry, because they don't know how to, or they don't know that it's possible. And so just meeting with that team, at this, with our customers, to see them so excited, they're like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. I didn't know we could do this. And they're setting up meetings with other departments to be able to show this capability off, because it's going to really help them with their Google Ads. So that's the joy. When you said like, what gives me joy? That gives me joy, getting off of every call and knowing that we use data in a different way that anyone else has used it, and that we're helping our customers to be able to expand their vision of what's possible and to be able to reach their goals. So
that's nice.
That's the joy. So for the frustrations, Datajoin, we connect systems together, and really it just depends on the API. So for example, Google Ads and Adobe Analytics, from my last example, both of those systems have APIs, so many different endpoints, and you can get data in and out of the system. And so a lot of the frustration is when some of these systems, their API is not as well built out, right? Maybe it's a younger company and they haven't really built out that functionality, or maybe it's it's bigger companies such as Google and LinkedIn, these marketing companies, and they actually keep trimming back their API because they want to give out less and less. And so for me, we are trying to make these integrations as painless as possible for marketers. So there are some systems, that are easier to work with, and it just depends on the API. So when you ask for some of the frustrations in technology, that's what comes, first to mind, is like, oh, well, you have to deal with that API. And I look at the dev team, I say, well, good luck. I hope you guys can find a way there, like do your best. Or they come to me and say, oh, well, we get to work with this API. I'm like, oh, good for you guys. That's a good API over there. So, yeah.
So how do you see the impact of the trend of AI ML kind of solutions, which seem to take away some of the analysis work from people?
I've been around the data game before the term data science and analytics and machine learning and AI became hot buzzwords and kind of commonplace. And so my thought is that I think the promise of AI and machine learning, that, hey, it's going to do everything for you, that's a very attractive idea for a lot of people, right? Because it's kind of like magic to them, right? And they think that it's going to do everything. But just working in data, the saying, garbage in, garbage out, right? If you don't have good data, if you don't have good context, then you're going to have a hard time to be able to predict the future. And so, like, I feel that that machine learning, it's as awesome as it is and as awesome as the algorithms are, it's only as good as the inputs. And more importantly, I feel like you really need that context. Let me just tell a story. So one time when I was working, this is probably 6-7 years ago, at this point, but our company was evaluating 3 different lead scoring vendors. One of them was Lattice Engines. They're best in class lead scoring, and then I forgot the name of the 2 other ones. And I asked my CMO, I said, hey, can I build my own model, because I think that we have better data internally that's going to predict better. These guys have a ton of demographic data that we don't have, because they're scraping websites and, getting job titles, getting zip codes, everything for everybody. But for me, that's not predictive, as predictive as, what they're doing on our website. What videos are they watching? How many are they watching? How long, how many times do they come to our website? How many downloads do they do? Which was the data that we had internally. And so I already had a good feeling. I already had a strong feeling that my model would outperform theirs. not because my math is better than theirs. They're probably using a stronger algorithm, but because the inputs that I had were much stronger, signals for prediction. And sure enough, when we compared our models, my internal model was much stronger. And so I think just back to your to your question, I think that machine learning, I think that people should not just blindly give their technology over to machine learning. I don't think it's going to work that well if they do that. But it's all about, to me, it's all about following the money. It's about getting the context. It's about being able to measure like the actual things that are driving increases and decreases in your revenue. And that's really what's going to help you have the right conversations. If something predicts something and say, oh, well, this is the score, I mean, people are going to be like, well, what does that mean? Like, it doesn't really, it doesn't really help people who are trying to manage certain parts of the business. So
yeah. So I guess that's a good segue to what would be your career advice for either people who are wanting to start in IT or mid-career people who want to shift to data or analytics?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. And, my experience, I've never taken a formal IT or computer science course in my career. I mean, I studied business and MBA in finance. I took a lot of, learn from different people and YouTube videos and online courses. But my advice would be for those, so for those who are wanting to switch, let me just focus there, because that's really what I did. If you feel like you have a passion for data, and you're in marketing and you want to move to marketing analytics or something, the basic technical skill set that I would start with is SQL. And not really, SQL is a big language, but SQL for analytics specifically. Like, how do I combine tables together so I can have a data set, that I can analyze, right? So that's the technical skill number one that I would recommend. And then Excel is good for analysis. It's free. It's very flexible, and you'll find that you can move a lot faster there in your sketching and your brainstorming. And then the last technical skill I would say is Python. If you're wanting to get into data analysis and data engineering, you need to be able to pull this data from different APIs across the web. And Python is a great language. Focus on the requests library, on different data structures, and that'll really help you to be able to pull the data and reformat it to the format that you need to be able to put it in a database or analyze it. So that's the technical side. I will say this, and that, like, there's the soft skills side. I feel this is more important than the technical side, but really, focusing on that skill, following the money, just that finance mindset. I really feel that, that really helped my career in analytics, because there are some people in data and analytics and IT, they don't really know what is the best thing to analyze that's going to help the business. So if you could focus in on that skill set of just critical thinking, asking questions like, hey, start at the top. Is this helping me to get new customers? Is this helping me to retain more customers? If you could focus on that skill set of, really identifying, where the money is, that's going to make you a killer analyst. And then if you have the technical skills to be able to go out and do these ideas that you have in your head, you'll be a killer data analyst and asset to any company you go to. So that's my thought there. If you're starting off in IT, I would recommend the same thing. Like, IT people, it's, there's the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. I feel like the best that rise to the top, they have a little bit of both. Like, they can do the technical, but they can also do, that critical thinking and put on their business hat.
Yeah. On that very positive note for people and IT careers, thank you, Sam, for the time that we had. I do have some more questions, which will probably get some other opportunity to continue our conversation, because this is such an interesting topic of being able to infer meaning from data coming from different sources.
Yes. I mean, we could have a whole conversation about that. And really, that's at the heart of Datajoin. I mean, I'll leave you with this thought. Not only is our systems fragmented and siloed, but teams, the teams that use the different system are also fragmented and siloed. I mean, marketing is a big department, but there are at least 3 different types of platforms that marketers manage. And those are 3 different teams. And you'll be surprised how they all sit next to each other, but they don't talk that much to each other, only when they play ping pong maybe. But they don't really talk about what they're doing that much together. They really, live in their own box. And Datajoin tries to break down those silos. This is an interesting conversation indeed, Shiv. Like we could have a whole nother discussion on this.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Thanks, Sam, once again.
You're welcome. Hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And really nice to meet you, Shiv.
We thank Siddharth for the music and Anita for promoting the Software People stories.
If you like this episode,
Please subscribe on your favorite podcast client.
And spread the word in your network.
if you'd like to share your story,
Contact us at podcasts@pm-powerconsulting.com.